39 here. 21 before 9 digital, and we're timing out to check in on your money and find out how Wall Street's doing for you, your IRA, and your 401k this morning. We always go downtown to check in with what's going on with the offices of Statler Financial Services. Phillip Statler standing by. Phillip, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dave. Hey, doing well today. How about you?
I can't complain in the least. It's Friday. That's all a guy can ask for. Well, we started out with another one of those surprises. I was a little cynical yesterday morning looking at red ink, but we ended up 0.2% up on the Dow, up 163 points. NASDAQ up the better part of 50. That's darn near 0.75%. The S&P did 0.75% up again yesterday as well, which kind of makes me because
it was
this morning
a good day.
talking about ink.
Yeah, it was a good day yesterday. And if we kind of look at where we are year to date, for the month of January, the Dow's up a little over 3.25%. NASDAQ's up almost 5%. And the S&P 500's up 3.5%.
Darn near enough to make you forget about 2018, right?
Yeah, well, maybe.
Not quite. We get to start. Now, I'll never forget 2018. It wasn't as bad as 2009, but I would like to forget both of those. Start out with Netflix. They reported after the close last night, and I gather it was kind of a mixed bag looking at my big loser list this morning.
Well, it was. They came in with earnings per share, and they beat on the street there. They were up 6 cents a share, which was good. But the revenue was just slightly short of the forecast, but that seems to be putting some pressure on the stock this morning. And I think mostly, Dave, because we've seen such a run-up since the first of the year in Netflix. And I think that's probably why we're seeing a little bit of a pullback this morning. Right now, it's looking like it's going to open up about 2.4% down. Not a big deal after it was up 0.5% yesterday.
I was going to say they've gone up so doggone much, a 2-3% drop after, oh gosh, golly, kids, they aren't growing as fast as the Chinese economy used to. What gives, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
pretty much.
That's so Netflix. They're raising prices. We talked about that yesterday. So hey, it doesn't take much for them to add that back to the revenue.
Understood. My tip sheets did not include half the reports that you had, but a bunch of household names did report early this morning and after the close last night. One that caught my eye that you mentioned that I didn't have, but you did, included American Express as we keep the financial cavalcade going.
Yeah, American Express, they missed by about 6 cents a share, and their revenue was also down compared to what the forecast was. And they've been hurt by higher expenses as well as they've had to increase their reserve for credit losses. And so, yeah, those two things have put a little damper on American Express. They're down about 2.3% this morning.
That's kind of smart as well. They're one of the bulwarks on consumer finance. I'm not hearing much that I like out of the financials so far this year as an overall picture.
Well, let me give you a couple that are a little better. How about SunTrust? They're a regional bank. They're not a national bank, but they're regional. And they came out and beat by about 13 cents a share. Revenue was well above forecast. And so they're trading up today. About almost 4% this morning before the market opens up. So there's a little bit of a shining star. They are down. Now, this is their whole 1 year change. So we look back 12 months, they're down 15%. But year to date, they're up 15%. So SunTrust is looking good on that front. The other financial I have is one that I don't follow, I haven't heard of. Citizens Financial is another financial services company. They beat by 2 cents a share, and they increased their dividend by 19%. So that was a good thing for them too. And they're trading up a little over 3.5% this morning. So there are a few bright spots when it comes to the financials, Dave.
We kind of needed a few after some of the big banks with misses and getting really hammered earlier this week. Is that pretty much the end of the financial sector as far as the well-known and notable names? I can't think of one that hasn't come out yet.
I think that is from the standpoint of well-known. There are a lot of local and regional type banks and financial institutions still to report. ones that we don't hear of down here, or some that we do. I know Regions Bank reported yesterday. I think they beat by 1 cent a share, but not things that are going to catch national attention.
Okay, I was just kind of taking a mental inventory, and I couldn't think of one of the household names. So we've got the financial picture for this earnings season. Mixed bag would probably be a fair representation. Have you got another picture to draw this morning from reporting companies for earnings season?
Well, I do. I'm not sure exactly how to categorize this one yet, but Tiffany's, their year end is January 31st, but they came out this morning and have they're trying to soften that blow, I believe. They've come out and said that they saw a 2% decline in same store comparable sales over the holiday period, and so they are saying that they should come in their whole year towards the lower end of their guidance, which will be below what the Wall Street consensus is. And so, well, they flipped a little bit, Dave. I was going to say they were down, but and they were this morning when I first looked, but they've kind of moved up this morning. They're up 2.6% this morning. So somebody must have just read through that and said that's still going to be okay.
Somebody bought something big when you make that big a swing. I mean, 2.6, 2.7% is enough to get into my top 10 this morning as far as stock swings. Not bad when it's a disappointing report, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the other big one we have is VF Corporation, and that's the parent company of North Face, Van Shoes, and a lot of other brands that are out there.
I was going to what the heck they were because I didn't recognize the name.
And they really blew it out of the water. I mean, they came in about 21 cents above estimates. Revenue beat forecast. They also have raised their full year guidance, saying they're getting strong demand for their North Face apparel and their Van shoes. Those seem to be their leading brands right now. And they've got to be on your big winners list. They're up 9.25% this morning.
Yeah, the select list I've got, they're number one on my big winner list this morning. I'd categorize them as consumer discretionary. And if it hadn't been for Tiffany's with a mixed bag, I'd say we're starting to get a decent retail picture. But mixed bag's about the best we're going to get so far this week, right?
I think so. And to kind of finish it up this morning, Dave, I've got JB Hunt Transportation. They're the trucking company, and they had a great quarter. They beat by 30 cents a share. So that was a huge win there. We don't have revenue numbers yet, but they're trading up about 4% this morning.
Okay. I'll take more positives than negatives, which might explain the green ink I'm seeing early on. Tidbit of information for everybody. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is on Monday. My listing shows the stock market's going to be closed. Phillip, do your analysts say anything as to what we're likely to see as a reaction to not being able to throw money around on a holiday?
No, I'm not seeing anybody even mention Martin Luther King Day yet. But it's going to be a day where the markets are closed here in the United States, but there still will be world markets that will be actively trading.
Which generally I know means the end of the day before we close. When other markets are open and ours are closed, a lot of money tends to go off the table in the last hour or two of trading. And I haven't seen in my tip sheets either any predictions as to what investor moods are going to be like toward the end of the day today, probably because you can't predict them between the opening markets and the close inside of a day anymore, can you?
Well, no, it's getting tougher and tougher. I mean, yesterday was a good example of that. I mean, we started up to the downside yesterday, and we ended up in awful good territory.
Speaking of which, we're 45 minutes before the market opens up this morning. I'd mentioned earlier, makes me nervous after the turn we did yesterday because we're starting out in the other direction today. 45 minutes before we do open, Phillip, where's the green ink going so far today?
So, Dave, the three major indexes are heading up. They're green. The Dow's up about 150 points, which is about 0.6%. The S&P 500 is up about 11.5, which is getting close to 0.5%. NASDAQ's up 34.5. It's up about 0.5%. We're seeing this morning that gold and silver are both trading down about 0.8%. Gold's down to $1,282 an ounce. Silver's down to $15.42 an ounce. And then crude oil is ticking back up. It's up 1.19% from where it was yesterday. at $52.70 a barrel right now.
Was that an inventory issue? I'm trying to remember what the oil inventories were the other day.
The inventory that I saw was down a little bit from the month over. There was my report didn't show any expectation. It just showed the actual report was down about 2% from where it was the month before.
Okay, commodity futures markets can move wildly with no reason whatsoever, but when I see over 1%, sometimes I figure there might be a reason, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm seeing it at the gas pump. I mean, I filled up yesterday, and we were getting close to $2 a gallon, and now we're back up to 2.20 in that range.
Oh, slap your face. I don't like hearing it. Overseas markets, Asia for the most part, all green ink when they closed early this morning. Europe generally trading up this morning, too, for one reason or another. Phillip, somebody need to figure out how to stabilize a retirement plan. You're the guy to go to. How do I find you on the phone?
Give us a call at 382-0037. Follow us on our website at statlerfinancial.com. You can see a lot of my radio shows posted there. And then join us every weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, noon at Saturdays, 10 a.m. Sunday mornings on the sister station, News Talk 730 a.m.
And let's not forget, these reports get rebroadcast on your Facebook page these days as well, right?
That's right. Yep. Follow us on Facebook at Statler Financial Services, where we are starting to post these updates every morning, just in case you miss them. And we share them with folks. And so we include Dave on that, so everybody that's tagged to him can get access to those.
And I'm personally grateful that you don't use the camera on me.
Well, we might work on changing that one day, Dave.
No! Have a great weekend, sir. We'll catch you Tuesday, all right?
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks. 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services, Phillip Statler. I appreciate it.